Oh yeah, we can see
Okay.
That's kind of cool. Looks like we're at the little house.
Yeah, I know. It's
Is
awesome.
that recording?
Yeah, it's recording, but
Hi, Mom.
hi, Mom. Welcome, everybody. It's Tony Floreal here, and this is the Holy Shit Glow with the Flow show. And I just wanted to introduce you to a very incredible, special guest of mine. It's a friend. His name is Lightheart, and he is an incredible person. He's a wonderful example of vitality, vital power, and just wanted to introduce you to him. He's written a couple of books. He's been a 3-time Canadian national bodybuilding champion. And so we're going to start out real quickly and just ask Wade to give a little summary about your story.
Wow, I don't know where we can start. As people that know me, I come from a long line of people who tell stories, so we love telling stories. But I guess we'll talk about pertaining to why we're here and why we've kind of interconnected. I mean, we met, what?
About a year ago.
Is it only been a year?
It's been a year ago.
Seems like a lifetime.
I had actually heard about Wade through a national internet news site on health, and I became really fascinated about his story because he was one of the few bodybuilders that was actually speaking the truth of my experiences being in that bodybuilding and sports world. And he also was tying it in with spirituality, yoga-based, and had a similar mentor, I guess. So I was initially attracted to him because I wanted to know more about you. And I went to see Wade speak at a seminar at Canada Place where, if you guys will see earlier, I had done a video on the Olympic flame. That's where the Olympic flame is being held up right now for the Olympics here. So that's how I met you. I just heard you speak, and it completely resonated with my philosophy. And I thought I'd share that with everybody that's following me on my blog.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. I do remember that moment because there was a big crowd of people and talking, and you and one of your clients had came up, and I think your client was the only guy in the audience that actually was alkaline.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because one of the tests we do is who's alkaline. The only guy that was Tony's client, so I was like, I knew this guy knew what he was talking about. And then when he kind of came up, there was an instant connection. I think everyone that's had that experience in their life knows what that is, and of course the rest is history, and here we are. So in pertaining to my story, I guess in health and wellness or vitality, how did I get there? Well, it's been a long road. I've been in that field all my life, but when I was about 15, I had a couple of life-changing moments. One, my sister was diagnosed with Hodgkin's disease, a form of lymphoma cancer. And she went through the allopathic model for about 4 years, you know, the chemotherapy, radiation, bone marrow, all the surgeries, all that sort of stuff, before she expired. But when she first got diagnosed, she had given me a bodybuilding magazine, and I got into bodybuilding. And that spawned a lifetime of passion. I just loved lifting weights. I loved the philosophy. And went through the whole gamut. You know, after 16 years, made it to the Mr. Universe contest. And but the interesting thing about that journey is, you know, it looks great on paper and the pictures look nice, but the reality was I was in pursuit of those championships, and even though I had, you know, went into natural bodybuilding, still I was being fed by the mainstream kind of channels of, you know, do these reps and eat this, you know, megabolic wonder powder or whatever it happens to be. You know, I tried all these different things, and at the end of the day, even though I was able to obtain a high level of performance, I wasn't able to maintain a high level of health. And I think today there's a lot of people that make that misidentification, if you will, of fitness versus health. You know, so we have these athletes who I look up to and you look up to. We talk about this a lot. I mean, just incredible physical specimens who can do amazing things out there from an exercise or a fitness component. In other words, they're able to do something very, very well at levels that very few people can. We're in the middle Olympics and we're surrounded by that right now. But yet, if you actually look at the health of the individual, oftentimes it's been compromised by that passion. And to me, that never really made sense. I went through that experience. After 2003, I went to the Mr. Universe. I got passionate about how do I get performance and health. And that led me onto a whole discovery of a wide variety of things, and some amazing mentors came into my life and continue to do so today. And now, you know, in 2007, I made my comeback after being retired for 4 years. You know, instead of preparing for a year and dieting for 20 weeks, I prepared for 3 weeks to regain my national championship, which that's pretty outrageous, if you know, from athletics.
Well, I was going to point out that Wade has been a vegetarian bodybuilder for how long now?
The last time I ate meat was, I guess, in 2001. So we're closing on about 9 years now.
Okay, so he's a real example of somebody that's actually won a high-level competition being a vegetarian, which is debunking the myth about like having to eat like animal product to have high performance and health in life. You know, it's up to personal preference, but here's an actual real-life example of somebody that hasn't eaten meat since, you said, 2001.
Yes.
And, you know, has radiated like vitality and has a lot of energy, doesn't have any health issues whatsoever. And that comes back to your story of how you competed, I think, the second time you won, and then you just got sick right after, right?
Yeah, back in 2003, before I kind of got into these healthy performance principles, if you will, I gained 42 pounds of fat and water after the contest. That's quite common in the bodybuilding circles. I had dieted, get this, for 11 months, and I ate 5 different things during that 11 months. That's it. 5 things, same things every day, same orders, same times. And I achieved a high level of conditioning. No one could argue with how I looked on the outside, but inside I was a biochemical disaster. And, you know, when I gained all that weight, so imagine going from Mr. Universe to Mr. Marshmallow in 11 weeks. It was a painful experience. And but the interesting thing is, after the 11 weeks, I felt better than I did before the contest. I looked worse, but I felt better. And I met an individual by the name of Dr. Michael O'Brien, who just was an absolute epitome of health, vitality, vibrancy, intelligence, lovingness, all these things rolled up into a man who was well past what the world calls prime, well into his seniors, around 90 or something like that. And it totally shifted my paradigm, what was possible. It was a massive shift. And from that point, even though I was a vegetarian at that time, you know, I was still trying to apply non-vegetarian principles into a performance model, which was even more challenging before, because there's just very few people who have done that.
So the shift happened because you actually like saw somebody that embodied vitality. Like you didn't like read about it, you didn't hear about it. You met somebody, and that's what's sort of like missing in society, is that people don't really have that example to really recognize when they see this.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, and you're probably getting this via the internet or some kind of channel like that. And the great thing about that is the internet has brought awareness of these individuals who are doing these things that we didn't think were possible, whether it was health or performance or maybe some other thing, you know, in some other field. But there is no better way to actually interact with someone like that. You know, had I heard about a Dr. O'Brien, would it have had the same impact? No. You know, there's a certain amount you can take, and the more you get involved in something, I think you can feasibly. You know, my early childhood healers or mentors were like guys like Arnold. I would read these magazines. I mean, I just lived and breathed and did whatever Arnold said pretty much. You know, I didn't get the whole story, but I did as much as I could, and that was a role model for me, and I used that role model. But yes, getting in the presence of an individual, whether it's a spiritual teacher, whether it's a coach in a business world or a financial level, or having a personal interaction is very, very powerful for certain.
Okay, so one of the things that I like to talk about is success and what real success is. And one thing that really caught me was in the sense that when you meet somebody that has incredible experience,